Hey guys, I'm here in Phuket, Thailand. So it's really hot in the summertime, and I'm here with my good friend Ben Ong, who is a professional fighter and coach, and we're just going to talk about how things are different compared to the West. So, real quick, you've lived in Asia for most of your life.
Yes.
And you've been to plenty other places.
Correct.
How would you compare like places like Thailand to places like the United States, for example?
So in Thailand, you pretty much see that for some reason there's a lot of unhealthy foods on the street as well, right? A lot of unhealthy.
In Thailand.
Yeah. A lot of deep fried food.
Yeah.
There's not really many fat people. The thing that shocked me the most when I landed in the US for the first time, Miami, I'm like,
Miami, okay.
where are all the thin people? Bro, literally, I look at I arrive at the airport, I'm like, the guy here fat, the girl here fat, it's like everyone is fucking fat. So, I mean, that is like the first most obvious thing, but it's even walking on the streets, everyone else is fat. And I have a good friend, all right, I have very little fat friends, but this guy is also obese. And I asked him, is it like this in US? My obese friend tell me that he is average there. So
It's true, yeah.
that's that.
Yeah. You don't have to be top like 10%. It doesn't take much to be top 10% in
100%.
the US in that regard. And also you can tell who the US tourists are in, because Phuket's very high, a lot of tourists in Phuket. You can tell who the US tourists are by just looking to see how big they are.
The US tourists and the Russian tourists, you can completely tell who is who, just from the size of it.
Yeah. But overall, like your lifestyle in Thailand, though, how is that? Like, what drew you to Thailand and Phuket in particular to live here?
I was a year in Bangkok. The air there is, you've been to Bangkok, you know the air isn't that great. And before Bangkok, I was actually in Bali. So what I like to do, I realized is stay a year in the like a what is that called, nature part. So Bali is very nature, and then a year in the city, and then now a year in nature. But I believe moving forward, I just want to be in nature.
Yeah.
So I think the setup here in Phuket is very good. It's like I like to spend a lot of time at home because I got a good setup. Ice bath, sauna is coming, home cooked food, what is that thing called? Grass-fed beef, and then daily training, the sun, the good air. So I think that is peak optimal living, in my opinion.
Yeah, is it true that in Thailand it's kind of hard to get beef? Is that true?
Not really.
Okay.
I think it's very easy to get good quality beef here.
Okay, but like I guess a lot of restaurants don't really serve beef. They serve more pork and chicken. Is that right?
A lot of Thai restaurants would serve more pork, yes, but now, from my experience nowadays, everywhere has beef. So.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I guess maybe it's the places that I've been to in my small sample size, but yeah, like at least, what about steak in general? Like, are steakhouses a thing?
I might be biased, but I've eaten at a lot of different steakhouses. I still think that my girlfriend cooks the best steak.
Nice.
I might be biased, but
it's a good woman, yeah.
It's like legit. I am not even trying to talk her up or anything. Legit.
Well,
yeah, so you'll get to try it later.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that. That'll be amazing. Maybe we'll film that. We'll be tasting it. Yeah, and I'll have to be a judge because I've eaten steak all over the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
How poisonous is pork? Because from a doctor perspective, I've seen a lot of people say that pork is really bad, but then still a lot of people eat pork and I guess they live alright. So there's always this kind of thoughts in my head. Yeah,
I mean, like I said before, it can carry diseases much more so than the other meats. And I think it's just a lower quality protein in general. You don't have as much per gram than you do in other meats.
Yeah.
Lastly, you can get parasites if you don't cook it well enough.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure it's cooked
and
well
good
enough.
quality pork.
Yeah, good quality, and make sure it's not expired. Yeah, as well. You have to be a little bit more careful with pork, at least in my eye.
Okay.
But if that's the only thing you got, it's the only thing you got. Just make sure it's cooked well. Yeah. Because that's sort of why I sort of lean against pork. I know I still eat it when there's nothing else to eat.
Right, it's tasty, man. Especially when Asians cook it, I feel.
Yeah. But anyway, so I didn't know that. So you'll have to tell me where all the good steak places are. So cool. So how long have you been fighting?
I started training at late 16 years old. I had my
Wow.
first professional fight at 19 in one championship. And
MMA, Muay Thai?
MMA.
Okay.
So, and after that, I basically went on to do coaching, started online business, and you know, from there, the thing that I realized is that coaching is more of a selfless thing, or fighting is a very selfish thing.
Interesting.
It's all about me.
Oh,
I
that's
just
an
want to
interesting
win.
perspective on that, yeah.
But you as a doctor, so you help your clients,
Yeah.
right? And I'm sure you get a lot of satisfaction from seeing them do well. I also start to see that when I started coaching, and that also made me think, do I really still want to fight? Because it's not about the money. You don't get paid much for fighting
No, you
unless
don't.
you're
No,
a McGregor.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. You have to be as bombastic as Conor McGregor to make any
I
money.
mean, up to today, I would say I've basically been training for over a decade now. I still train to this very day, but in terms of like making fighting a career, no.
Got it.
But I did do a fun side quest early this year in January. Took on I'm not sure even his record, but basically it was like there's an opportunity to fight for a title in Muay Thai and somewhere in Hua Hin. Because my purpose was to go there to support a friend.
Sure.
To do his camp, just to support him because I see he worked very hard.
Yeah.
He messaged me, hey, there's this opportunity, you just need to cut this amount of weight. For some reason, I YOLO and just did it. So
you win?
I had to, I fought the same guy twice, bro. It's
Sure.
like the first fight was a decision loss.
Okay.
And then I genuinely believe I could beat him.
Okay.
So I took another fight, same guy, 2 weeks later. And what is that called? Dominating for the first 3 rounds. On the 4th round, he cut me with an elbow. So if you guys see here, there's like basically 31 stitches. So the doctor stopped the fight. Yeah, that was a fun side quest in January.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. So that ended up giving you the loss, unfortunately. Is that right?
Yeah, for Muay Thai. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've heard that we can get like kind of a cheap win that way with the elbows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Man, it's all. I mean, it's all props to him. It's very fair because it's like
Sure.
you could literally do everything right. You get caught with an elbow.
Yeah.
Things open out. The referee's job is to protect you from
That's
fucking
true.
dying.
That's
So
true. That's true. That's true. Okay, I guess it's not a cheap win, but like it's a strategy that within the rules.
fair play. Yeah.
Fair play. Okay, that's fair. No pun intended. Anyway, so what have you noticed with? So one of the I've fought not professionally.
Yeah.
I just did do it for self-defense and fun.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that over time, like the folks that come in to the gym that are massive, like they got muscles from everywhere, and I used to think that they were very intimidating because it was like, oh crap, I don't want to get hit by this guy. He might like put me out. But then over time, I was like, that's not the case.
Nope.
So like, I guess for the people watching, why is that not the case for like this jack dude to be afraid of him when you come across him in a ring?
So obviously the look intimidation is one thing. So that I think a lot of times it scares people off, especially to the untrained.
Yeah.
But a lot of times I see all these guys, especially if they come from a very much bodybuilding background, they are super unathletic. They cannot sprint, cannot do anything. And fighting is all about generating force from the ground up. So your punches, your kicks, everything is about the rotational force and stuff. So doing all of this doesn't really help. It makes you look good, but there is very little transfer over to actual fighting. So yeah, I've seen a lot where they look very scary, but the punches are so slow. It's like almost happy when you see them and you can toy with them. So,
I mean, worst case scenario, if it was a real life situation, you can easily like outrun them
you
too.
easily outrun them.
Yeah, but I was thinking just turn the angle, and it's hard for them to turn, and you could just easily just get them right there, But yeah, I mean, it gives you like thought. This is one of the things that I talk about is overall, like how do you see yourself, not just from a physique standpoint, right? But how do you see yourself functioning in life, and what's the best physique or nutrition plan or just lifestyle that you have that's where you want to be in life.
Life, right?
And I've noticed, like I've talked about this before, BMI.
Yeah.
yes, you can have a high BMI with a lot of muscle, but I still think it's not good because they can't. Like you said, they can't even do simple things like around the house. It's just much more difficult because they have to carry all that mass, and then their heart and lungs have to work harder just by doing simple things. So it's not actually good both ways, whether it's all fat or all muscle. So yeah, that's what I try to tell people is like, whatever your ideal like way of living is, and I can't imagine like some of the stuff that they do, the bodybuilders, they go through a lot of odd habits. Their eating habits are a little odd. Like it's just so like, fun. And they're so dialed into that lifestyle that it's just not terribly conducive to a lot of normal things in life. But that's what I tell people is like figure out what kind of, at what point, how much muscle do you really need? Right? That's really what it comes down to. Then in terms of cardio, like I hear this a lot. Like fight cardio is not the same as like normal cardio if you're running on a treadmill, for example. Like explain that a little bit.
So there is general conditioning and there's sport-specific conditioning. That is why you get supposedly the fittest people, marathoners. Supposedly wise, cardio-wise, they are the best. You put them to do wrestling, they will get fucked in less than a minute. Reason because their body is not used to those movements. Same thing as when how well you perform or how efficient you perform in an exercise will determine that conditioning as well. So, for example, let's use the marathoner, right? Marathoner never done wrestling, so these movements of wrestling is going to be so much more taxing than the guy who is less in general conditioned than the marathoner, but wrestled his whole life. So all this kind of like cardio is very specific to, it depends what they want to work on. But I would say a general good conditioning base, that means like being able to sprint at a certain time, long distance at a certain time. Those everybody should get good at. Everyone should have a good general conditioning
baseline.
Then if you want to pursue a specific sport, then do that specific sports conditioning.
So what makes fight cardio like different from other types of cardio? Like not just the movements, but like, is there something mental about it? Like in terms of like how you have to, because you're getting hit at the same time. So I'm sure there's a component to that.
So everything comes down to how much stress you can handle and the fatigue level. So even sparring, right? For example, if I spar with you and I say that I'm talking about stress level now. If I can only jab you, let's say it's a sparring game where I can only jab, your stress tolerance, you would deal a lot better with just the only jab. But if I can do everything, I can kick, I can elbow, then you will be way more stressed out, and that also drops your cardio. So if you talk about cardio, from a conditioning standpoint, it has to do with the ability to deal with the mental fatigue, the ability to deal with the environmental fatigue as well, like people cheering you on. So to optimize for conditioning when it comes to fight is actually a lot of work because everything has to be as close to the fight as possible. The environment, everything, and that is why you can see a lot of times people who supposedly all the tests, a VO2 max test in the gym, they are killers. On the fight day, something off here, the cardio just go down.
Done.
So,
I've seen plenty of people recently, their first time boxing.
Okay.
And it's crazy when they're in the ring and they're going against somebody who's really experienced. And that's a scary thought, right? Like just your first time. And I've had the same experience a while ago with I was fighting Luke Barnett, who's about almost a foot taller than me, and. I mean, I can't say that I didn't do that at some point because I was a beginner at some point. And what I noticed was a lot of people were also, it's very interesting. They were so much in their heads, and they were also, they were not realistic as to what's going on. They weren't in reality. Like they were, it's very interesting. They weren't in the moment.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is, they thought they were throwing punches, and I counted exactly on some of their fights, 0.
Legit.
They were throwing 0 punches, or maybe I missed 1 or 2, but I didn't think they were throwing as many punches as they thought they were. That's number 1. Number 2 is when I saw them afterwards, when they came out, when they were done, they were like, huffing and puffing and suffering, and it was just like, they look like they were like I don't know, they did a 50 miler right afterwards. They were so like tired and whatnot, and and hyperventilating, and their heart rate was probably up. And what was interesting about that is that like they were not listening. I was trying to give them commands. It's like, hey, sit down, just breathe for a second. And they like were still like in their heads, like they were like, just like this, and just trying to like whatever they were thinking, they were still thinking, and they weren't able to listen to me until like at least another 5 minutes, where I had to just get them to just sit down and relax. And most of them were fine. The professionals know how to like monitor their levels, so that nobody gets like seriously injured. That's probably a difference between, we'll probably get to this next, like it's the difference between fighting a professional versus fighting an amateur, but yeah, it was all up here. Like they probably were gassing themselves up from the get-go without having to do much, because they weren't doing a whole lot, like because they were just wailing at them, and because they were waiting. It's like, hey, are you gonna do something? Are you gonna do something?
And that's the whole thing, right? Like if you're physically very, like I said, you do all the tests, your VO2 max tests, all very good. But if you fuck it up here,
it's all here.
You got defeated here, you will be defeated.
100%. Like, so I mean, fighting, for as much as it is physical, it's probably even more so mental. Yeah. 100%.
For sure.
And that when I was watching those fights, I was like, oh wow, like that. It gave me a perspective on that. Like that's what I learned from that, being the outsider. I wish I was in the ring, to be honest with you, but it was very interesting to see that from the outside. I was like, yep, that was me at some point. That was definitely me.
100%. It's like I remember as well the very first amateur fight. The coach was like, I want you to strike a bit, time your distance. When the takedown is there, go for it. The bell start, all I did was rush, take the guy down, and just started punching. It's like, didn't hear anything. And then as I coach people as well, and I've seen them, even in the hard sparring session, they cannot hear instructions. So the ability to listen and all that kind of stuff, everything plays a part. It only gets better with practice. And I would say that the main thing is gradually increasing the stress tolerance, because if you stress them way too much, it wouldn't grow. But you stress them just enough so that they can adapt, and then push. I think that's the way to go.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think of fighting as a way to lose weight? Like, is it a good way, bad way, or do you think like
fighting or training martial arts?
Let's start with martial arts in general. Like
training martial arts to lose weight is probably one of the best investments someone can make, because firstly, you're learning useful skills.
Self-defense.
The social aspect as well. You are doing that with people. You have to do it with people. And it's just, what's better than, unless you are a sicko that loves running all your life, then do it. But what's better than learning a skill while also getting the cardio in? Because it naturally is a cardio martial arts. So I think that, I truly believe that martial arts is one of the best ways when it comes to a cardio for losing weight, because you develop skills, you make friends, it's fun, as long as you get good. No one likes to suck, but starting it sucks.
You have to suck first before you get better.
And then, most martial arts, there is also that element of strength training, and even let's say Muay Thai, full cardio. After that, your coaches usually ask you to do squats, push-ups, and all that kind of stuff. So, I think it's one of the best ways.
I guess what would be a word of advice to somebody who's trying to start off, trying to get healthier, lose weight, and wants to get into martial arts? What would be a piece of advice you have for them?
I would say the environment is very, and when it comes to martial art, I have to stress this because I'm very against this. It's like a lot of martial arts gyms are just kick fit gyms, which is basically box.
I know what you're talking about. Like they do it as a dance almost.
And even if you don't do it as a dance, even it's like a professional gym. Getting someone getting someone tired is a goal. You don't need a world champion coach. You don't need anyone. Anybody can just bark commands and 50 kicks, 100 kicks, blah blah blah. You will get tired. So if the goal is actually to learn martial arts as well, you have to find a gym that allows you to actually develop your skills. So speak to the people, or maybe you have to test it yourself. And because the worst thing you want to do is have this fake sense of confidence that You know, I've seen, bro, people that train 3-4 years think they are good and stuff, but all they did is kick pads with no other applications of skill, because kicking pads is important, but it's only one aspect of things. And they can't do shit in sparring. In sparring also you cannot do anything. So just imagine what it would do if you go outside thinking you can actually do something.
That's a good point, actually, because you have to be able to correlate that to real life. God forbid something happens.
Ultimately, does your shit works against a resisting opponent is the best way to ask it. So I would say if someone is serious about learning martial art, find a gym, look at the track record, experience it yourself, and question things, you know, like, does this actually work? Will this actually work? And yeah, have fun and start. Have fun and start. Don't think so much already.
Honestly, like, have fun, like, enjoy it, because like don't. Sometimes if you sort of dread going to the gym, like, you may not ever go again. That's really, really important. So yeah, awesome, man. No, you brought up a lot of good points, actually. That was amazing. Thank you for talking with me. In your home, it's a very beautiful, kind of cloudy day in Phuket, but and a little hot. But I'm looking forward to trying your girlfriend's steaks. That would be amazing. Maybe we'll film a little bit of that. But yeah, pleasure.
Thank you, Alan.
Pleasure, Ben. And yeah, thanks guys for watching. And stay vigilant, stay unplugged. We'll see you next time.
Ciao.